Alright, so now I want to create another cylinder to be used as a socket base for the other part of the arm, for the second section here. So I'm going to create another cylinder, but this time I'm going to create also a mesh cylinder, but I'm going to reposition it here. So create polygon cylinder, and then drag it and then pull it out. Now this will be clearer in the perspective view, and if you are using an older version of Maya, the cylinder will be created for you in a predetermined shape. Okay, let me demonstrate what I mean. So if you're using an older version of Maya, okay, the cylinder will be created like this for you, and you will have to resize it until it can fit, and reorient it until to suit your needs. All right, so in this case, let's say if you want to rescale this cylinder, you can go to scale, okay, pressing R on your scale and then holding down the control key and left mouse click to scale along the X and the Z axis. Alright, so if you remember the shortcut keys, you can really speed up your workflow. So right now I'm going to rotate this along the Z axis at precisely 90 degrees. Okay, I'm going to the channel box here to rotate, and then I'm going to quickly go to the front view and then reposition this. And again, you can use the align tool. Let me just show you quickly. Under modify here, align tool, and then just put it right at the center here. Okay, so I'm going to my right view now. Okay, so I don't need the align tool anymore. I can just press Q to go to select, and then press W. Okay, select the object that you move, then press W, and then I'm just going to position it so that it stays within the socket area. Okay, so now I'm going to do some tweaks to this cylinder to make it look a little bit nicer. So there's some changes in the edit mesh user interface of Maya 2015. So previously the insert edge loop is inside the edit mesh. Right now there's another extra mesh menu called the mesh tools. So when you click on mesh tools, okay, you find all your usual tools for editing polygon meshes available here. So the tool which I want to use is this insert edge loop tool. So I click on it, then move over to the cylinder itself, and I'll try to insert a few edge loops and try to modify the design a little bit. Okay, and then I want to double click, and then maybe under edit mesh, since I have the edit mesh tool already pulled out here, perhaps apply a bevel. Okay, and double click to select this edge loop. You can hold down to shift, right mouse click, and then you can slide this tool. Use the slide tool. I'm going to slide this until it goes to the center here. Now notice that these are now four-sided faces, so I can insert more edge loops. And with the edge loops being selected, you can actually move it. Right, maybe I just insert another edge loop right about here. Press Q to go to select, and right mouse click go to face mode, select this face. Okay, let's see whether, okay, my selection symmetry is on. I'm going to turn it off so that I only select one side of the face. So notice how I select the edge loop of a face, select this face, then select the adjacent face and double click. Then you can select the face edge loop. Holding down the shift, right mouse click, I'm going to extrude, and then just going to extrude an edge inwards like so. So next, I'm happy with this shape. I'm going to delete half the cylinder away. So select this portion, double click. Okay, the edge loop doesn't work here because it is adjacent to this triangular face. So I'm going to try another way to select this half. So I'm going to go to vertex, select this vertex, holding down the shift full stop to increase the vertex, holding down the shift vertex, shift full stop again to increase this vertex, holding down the control right mouse click, and then to faces contained faces. So I'm converting the selection of vertices to faces, and then I can hit delete. Next, I just go to object mode and then go to mesh, or rather is it edit mesh? Let me see. Well, they shift things around. Let's see whether I can use the tool to mirror it. Okay, I think they placed the mirror somewhere else now. There it is, under mesh. Okay, this mirror used to be right at the bottom, so I'm going to use mirror geometry, but I'm going to open up option box and I'm going to look for the axis, the appropriate axis to mirror. So in this case, positive x is this way, so I'm going to do negative x mirror, and then I'm going to merge, connect border edges, and then mirror. Okay, so now I got both sides nicely done. So I think this one is a little bit big, so I'm going to select the object itself, go to scale, holding down the control, and then scale it down, make it a little bit narrower, and then scale it inwards like so. Okay, so if I go to the side view now, or rather right view, just inspect and make sure the size looks appropriate. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, holding down the control while in scale mode, click on the x-axis, or rather in this case is the y-axis, the y local axis of the object. Okay, I can press number 3 to mode 3 and see what it looks like subdivided. So this one looks decent enough. Okay, let's go to the right view, and now I'm just gonna duplicate these two cylinders from the sphere here, and I'm just gonna parent the two duplicated cylinders onto this joint. So I'm going to open up my outliner again. The outliner is very useful for me to choose and select. So I'm going to the right view. I'm gonna just drag, just make sure that the two cylinders are selected. Then I'm gonna press Control D to duplicate, and then I'm gonna move these two arms up, and I'm gonna rotate them 80 degrees. Okay, I think I have to use snapping for the rotation, so let's turn on the discrete rotating so that I can rotate it exactly, change this to 10 degrees, 80 degrees. Okay, so you see the values of the rotation right at the bottom left of the screen here. Okay, so I rotated 80 degrees, then I'm going to manually reposition it until this arm joint here is directly above. Okay, so we can see a little bit clearly in the wireframe mode. Okay, so now if you look at the outliner, you'll notice that the two duplicated arms are also the child of the ball socket, which we do not want. We want this to be the child of this the cylindrical socket here. Okay, so to do that, I need to select these two arms, middle mouse click and drag them out. I'm going to select this cylinder, former cylinder, and I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it cylinder socket. And then I'm going to grab these two arms and then middle mouse click and drag and drop it under the cylinder socket, so that now when I rotate the cylinder socket, Okay, the two duplicated arms will follow, and if I rotate the bottom one, it should not follow. These two arms should not follow the bottom base. Okay, so we've done the two parts now. So now we want to create the big portion here. So for this section here, I'm just going to use a large polygon sphere. So I'm going to go back to perspective mode, and then I'm going to create a polygon sphere. Okay, I'm going to rotate this sphere 90 degrees along the z-axis, and then I'm going to align it to this cylinder. Modify, align. Okay, you need to change the view in order for the line to appear. So let's try this one. Okay, so now it's lined up. Let's go to the right view, and we have to manually select this sphere to join here. Now this sphere is obviously a little bit too big. I'm going to scale this down. Again, you can turn on wireframe mode and position it until it roughly fits the location. Okay, I'm using this black line as a guide. Okay, to position it right at the center. Okay, so the next step is pretty straightforward. You want to create another duplicate of this joint, and we're going to rotate it downwards instead so that it joins to this part, and then we have to do some reparenting or realignment of the parenting. So I'm going to select this hierarchy. That means this cylinder socket with the two cylinders as the arms, the lamp arms. I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate. So I should have another identical duplicate like so. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate it downwards about, well, rotate it 90 degrees, I guess, or minus 100 degrees, and then position it until the arms are joined like that. Okay, so now this one is independent, is joined to this like so. Now we do not want these two arms to be children of this anymore. We want these two arms to be the children of this sphere. So we're going to select these two arms. We can find it in this duplicate here. Lamp arm 3 and 4. They're still sharing the same name, so I think it's a good idea to rename them. Call this 05, and then just double click so they can change the name. And I'm going to select these two, middle mouse click and drag out, so now they are free. And for this sphere, I'm gonna call it mid socket, and I'm gonna select these two arms and then middle mouse click and drag and put them under the mid socket, so that now it controls the rotation. Right, I'm gonna reposition these guys a little bit more. Okay, and as for this one, this cylinder will form the basis for another pair of arms, and then we can connect the lampshade. So I'm going to duplicate another pair of arms. Okay, Control D, and I'm going to move these guys up. And I'm going to rotate them about 40 degrees, and then just reconnect it back to this socket here. Alright, so these two arms, then I'm gonna just middle mouse click directly them into the cylindrical socket. So now you can see when I rotate, it follows the arms, the two arms follow the socket here. I'm gonna switch to perspective view and then inspect my handiwork. Alright, so far so good. So we just need one more component here, and then we can finish the lamp. So let's go back to the right view. I'm gonna press 4 to go to wireframe view again, and let's see. We can duplicate another cylindrical piece, the cylinder socket here. So I'm gonna press Ctrl D. Okay, note that when I do that, I also duplicate another hierarchy. Okay, and then I'm just gonna rotate this until it is vertical. And then I'm going to do some modification to this piece here. Let me go to perspective view. I'm going to select one of this cylinder, and I'm going to delete this away. And I'm going to select these two objects here, and I'm going to use align. Use align to, well, before I do that, let me unparent this piece first. So middle mouse click here, and then make it independent. So I want to align this piece to hold down the shift to this piece. Then go to modify align to, and click on the center to modify, or rather to align it completely. Okay, this looks good. So now I'm going to just scale this cylinder down, make it shorter. And fatter. Alright, so I'm going to introduce a bunch of edge loops into this. So I'm going to go to my mesh tools, open up the insert edge loop tool options, and I'm going to use multiple edge loops. I'm going to increase that to 10 and just click on the cylinder itself, this arm itself. And if you want, you can actually go to the poly split ring option. Okay, let me just go to press Q to go to select first. Select the object itself, and under the poly split ring 7. Now, do make sure that your history button is turned on. Okay, the construction history is on, so they can access this. So if you feel that 10 divisions is too little, you can increase it to, I don't know, for this case maybe 17. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to go to isolate this object. So there is a isolate option here in the viewport here, this red arrow clicking on the green box. Double click on the edge, alternate edge, like so. And then I'm going to turn on scale, holding down the control, and then clicking on the Z axis, or rather the Y axis, to create this accordion-like object. Now if I press mode 3, you'll get this rather interesting looking component. Okay, so if you want the shading to be a bit harder edged, you can select this object and then go under the normals and polygons, and then you can say harden edge. Okay, doesn't seem to do much here, but you can insert edge loops if you want the edge to be much more obvious. Alright, so let's try that. Insert a bit more edge loop. But remember, you need to reset your edge loop 2 back to the original four-sided, or rather single edge loop option. Okay, so I'm just inserting a bunch of edge loops just to make the design a little bit more attractive. Okay, I accidentally inserted a couple more. Alright, so let's go back to object mode and get out of isolate mode. So okay, I'm happy with this socket. So right now let's create the lamp shade. Again, I'm going to the right view, going back to wireframe mode, and we'll stop right at the bottom here because whenever you create the revolve object, right, the pivot will be at the bottom. But since we're going to be moving it up, I'm going to just create the outline on top here first. The pivot will be at the bottom, but we can fix that by centering the pivot later on. So I'm going to create a CV curve again, and let's create a lampshade. Now this time I'm going to start from inside out, so I'm just going to start from here. And let's just try to modify this a bit. So I'm not really happy with the end here, so let me just try to continue. Let me just close these first, go back to surfaces, edit curves. Okay, add points, continue to add the point here. And press enter. I'm going to go to control vertex and then just adjust it until I'm happy with this. Okay, so happy with this. I'm gonna add a surface. So go to surfaces and revolve this, and let's see what it looks like. So you can see the object, the lampshade, right, is at the center is at the bottom. So we can fix this by going to modify and center pivot, and then now I can just rotate this 90 degrees along the x-axis. I'll press 5 to see what it looks like. Well, it looks pretty okay, but I would like this section to be wider. So because my construction history is still on, I can go to my right view here. Let's go back to wireframe mode, and let's go to, okay, make sure that when you right mouse click, you right mouse click over the curve, and you see only these options available. You do not want to change the shape of your revolved surface. So go to control vertex and start to adjust the cross section. So you notice that by adjusting the cross section of the lamp, you can actually change the revolve. So in other words, you can still go back to change the shape of your lamp. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Well, it looks okay, but I would like this to flare out some more. So I'm gonna grab this and make it flare out some more. Perhaps this one, a gentle flare like this. Okay, that looks nice enough. So now let's move this lampshade until its bottom touches here, like so. Okay, next, of course, if this is a lamp, it needs a light bulb. So let's create the outline of the light bulb. So once you don't need the outline anymore, you can actually delete away these curves. So first you need to delete history, delete all by type history, and select the curve and delete it away. So now I want to create my light bulb. So I'm going to create a curves again, CV curve. since you're not going to see the bottom of the light bulb, so you don't have to make it too fancy. So I'm going to start from bottom up. Okay, this will form the socket, and then this will form the light bulb. And that's it. Press Q to go to selection mode, select this, and then we're going to add a surface. And I'm going to center the pivot. Rotate this 90 degrees. And then put this inside the lampshade. Okay, so you can select both of these and go to align. Okay, seems like they are aligned pretty much together now. Right, and then your lamp is pretty much done. Okay, so I'll end the video for this part, for the modeling of the lamp, and then I will continue about creating the bones and then how to set up basic rigging for this entire structure.